Hey folks, Kevin here, and today we are still talking about React hooks, and just like the last time, I'm gonna talk about two hooks again. The first one will be the useContext, and the second one useReducer. And for that, first I brought an example here. Let me share my screen. So that's a React application. We have the app component, and inside the app component we import components, and those components import other components, and there we go. Sometimes we want to share, let's say we want to share data with other components. So for example, we can send information from this component to this one via props, never the other way around. So that's how React works. And if we have something in this component and we want to pass to this one, oops, what did I do? We would have to go like from this one to this one to this one, and only then this one, because the way React passes data, so which are props, are always from the parent to the child, and one by one you can pass to your grandchild. So that makes it sometimes hard to deal with props, because imagine, for example, if I brought an example here, which is Amazon. Let's say I want to buy an Alexa. So here I'm gonna add to cart, and it will also show here in another component when I add to the cart. I don't know how to do that. No thanks. Yeah. So do you see that? Let's say the navbar, that component, this one on the navbar is this one, and I don't know, my shopping items, this one. We would have to like have data on the app component that has nothing to do with this context, and just from it start spreading information. That would suck. That would make it hard to control the application. Imagine that, no, now I don't want it anymore. So you would have to delete from all the components until you get to them, the prop being passed. Or if you want to add a new prop, it creates a lot of overhead. We call that prop drilling, by the way, that situation where you have to pass through many components to get to the one that is actually the target of this prop. For that, we have the useContext. The useContext, let me just put it here again. The useContext creates a global storage, like right here, and the components can directly access information from it. All right. Now, let's see how the useContext works. For this one, I might create new files just because I think it will be easier to look at it. So I'll create, we would usually have a folder. I've seen this folder have many different names, so I'll just call it right now context, and I'll create the count context. Why not? Count context. So the count context, let's put it like that. We will import the create context from React, and that's how you create a context. You call create context. I will export this value and import it in the main function. Not in the main function, in the app component. Imported, and I will wrap the app with this one. But instead of actually wrapping with the count context, I'm gonna wrap it with context.provider. Before doing that, I think I can make the logic that I'm about to do right here in this component. Here you pass the initial value. Let me even see if it's described here, default value. I'm gonna pass 0. And right now I'm gonna create a component that will be the count context provider. And this guy will control this following thing. Oh my god, I need to fix this style here. Yeah. And I'll export that count context provider. The provider is what provides the value to the rest of the application. Oh, I missed the N here. And I was gonna pass that here, but I'm gonna instead do count context provider here and get that component that expects children to be passed. So the children will be everything inside here. Spacing. Oh, let me just disable useLint here. Let me actually destroy useLint so we don't get complaints. Right here, I'm gonna use something like useState, and I will store count here. Initial value is 0. I'll just share count for now. I'll get back to the rest of it. So once we have context wrapping a component, every children of this component will have access to whatever the provider is providing. For example, if I'll create under here, child component. This component here will use that context. Use context. What context do I want to use? Count context, which is the one we just exported. And let's see what we get. Value, and we will put here the value. Let's see if it works. Let me close that. All right. Oh, I didn't use child yet. So right now we are able to access that property. Even though child doesn't have this value declared anywhere, app also is not passing it to child as props, but we are able to access it. We could even share more stuff, such as the set count too. So how can I pass multiple values here? Besides the count, also the set count. I can pass an array of values, but just to make it more clearer, I'm gonna open an object here and pass the set count and the count. So right now the application should break. We should get an error saying that we are trying to render an object. You see, objects are not valid as React child. And if we check here, it's because we are getting that object right now and trying to render it. But now we should open the object to the structure, the values, and get count and set count. So count and set count. Right now, I'm able to put count here, and we are once again able to access the value 0. And if I add a button here, on click set count +1, it also works. So just like that, if I even had a grandchild, and now the grandchild is getting the context, we would still be able, let me delete that here, and I'll get child, I'll delete that. So yeah, the grandchild now has count. I could also add the button here. Well, where is my on click? No suggestions, cool. Oh, I didn't get it. Set count. So on click we'll call set count with count +1. So still works, all right? That's the useContext, how it works. On the next video, I'm gonna show a better way of using that syntax. But yeah, it'll be clear. We won't even need the useContext, at least not to import it on each component that we wanna get those values. What about the useReducer? The reason I'm putting them together is because they are often used together. The useReducer, think of it as a use state, but it is indicated for more complex stuff. For example, set count is something very straightforward and simple. But if I had more rules to be applied, instead of just passing the specific value, I had some specific rules. I'll create a reducer here. And the reducer always gets the current state, the value that we currently save, and the action. And something else. I really don't like switch case statements. If you check a video that I did, which is something like stop using else, I'll put it on the card here. You'll see that I mentioned switch case. I think it's very verbose, but this is one of the few places that I prefer using switch case statements, because everyone does. It's a pattern from the community. So I like to have someone looking at the code, seeing the switch case, and already knowing, oh, that's a reducer. That's the only reason I use it in this case. So I'm gonna put a switch case here, and let me just get the action right now. So I'm gonna say case actions increment. I will return the new value of the state. So it'll be state +1. If it is decrement, I'll return state -1. And if it doesn't get triggered at any point, I'm gonna just do as default return the state. Usually those are uppercased. Oops. So what I'm gonna do here is delete this count set count. I'm gonna use reducer and pass the reducer that I'm using and the initial value, which is 0. And just like use state, we'll get the count set count. it's not really the set count. That's usually called the dispatch. So count dispatch. Let's put it like that. Right now, I'm gonna put it like that. And let's go back to the app. So this one here now is count dispatch. And the way it works is that I'll put 2 buttons instead of 1. This one will be decrement instead of increment. And the way it works is instead of passing the actual value that I want, I'll choose one of the actions. This one will be decrement. Let me use multiple lines here so it's easier to see. Oops, not what I was expecting. And I'll do the same to this one. All right, easier. And this one here will get increment. So let's see if it works. Instead of P here, I'll just leave it as span so we don't get that line break. So decrement, increment, not working. Let's see why. Oh, I'm not calling count dispatch. So that function doesn't exist. And now it works. All right, we have those working right now, but let's agree that's just pretty simple. What if I want to have a case that would be add many, for example? For this one, I want an argument an extra argument to be passed, which is how many do I want to add? So for that, we can, instead of expect a string for the action, we can, once again, just like the other one, I was asking right here, what if I want to pass multiple values inside a single value? I said we could use an object here, and so we are also using an object here. So instead of expecting a string, I'm gonna expect an object that will have a type, action type. That's the name people usually use, all right? I'm not coming up with names right now. And I can expect the amount that is being passed as a payload. So do you see? Copilot's already suggesting me action.payload. So right now, I can add decrement, increment, or I can have one extra button. I'll add this one under them, and this one will have add many, and I'll pass the amount that I want to add here, 5, for example. So let me refresh the page. I'm gonna call this one add 5, and I'm gonna create another one with add many, passing -3, and remove 3. Let's see if it works. So add 1. Oh, we broke it. Oh yeah, of course. Why did we break it? Because I'm passing as many arguments. But as I mentioned before, this should be an object. This here is the type. And yeah, for this one, just pass the type in, right? So I'll close the curly brackets here. And for this one, I'm gonna call this payload, which is what we are expecting on the other file. Yeah, and I'm gonna close the curly brackets. And that should work. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I'll remove 3. Oh, remove 3, added 3, because that should be negative. So remove 3. Now it works. Add 5. Decrement. And everything's working. Of course, this case is also simple, but think that we would need to re-implement this small amount of logic every time in the components that we might want to change the behavior. So this is always for you to already have all the possible cases of what should happen and leave it for the reducer to take care of. So wrap up, useContext provides a value for all the components it's wrapping. In this case, we are wrapping like everything inside the app. So child and even child's child, which is grandchild, have access to whatever I'm providing, which in this case are count and count dispatch. And the useReducer is a hook that works as the use state, but you are also able to pass some logic. It could not be a switch case here. I could also have, let's say, if statements, if state, action.type is increment, then we return the state +1. That would be also acceptable. But yeah, the idea here is we receive the current state and the action, and that's it. Also, have in mind that the state could be something other than a number. For example, it's very common to have objects here. In this case, if we had, for example, an object people, we would have, in order to update a specific value, to add like the current state, which would be the whole people, and the value of whatever I am updating. Like if it was update age, someone's birthday, so I would spread the rest of the object and just update the field age. And that's it. I hope everything's clear. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.